So Owen's here with us. He's going to do some picking for us today, actually picking through the economic bones of that State of the Union address. President Obama used the word job 42 times in that speech. It's a huge battleground, isn't it?
I think it says it all if he's using the word so many times, Stu, and it's hard to find perhaps a more contested battleground, certainly in the run-up to presidential elections, than job creation. How many created, how many have been lost is perhaps the best, or at least the most instantaneous gauge of the US economy. Despite inheriting one of the worst recessions, certainly in living memory, Barack Obama is claiming he has turned the economy around, and it certainly appears going into that State of the Union that he has the benefit of some decent jobs numbers. Yet can Obama really claim all the glory? Well, Catherine Gillam has been finding out for us.
In the last 22 months, businesses have created more than 3 million jobs. Last year, they created the most jobs since 2005. American manufacturers are hiring again, creating jobs for the first time since the late 1990s.
Pleased to have some good economic news at last. The US unemployment rate now stands at 8.5%, down from a peak of 10%. But that's still much higher than before Obama came to office. More than 8 million jobs were lost in the first year of his mandate. It's taken 3 years for his $787 billion stimulus package to bear fruit. As well as unemployment rates dropping, last quarter's consumer spending was up by 4.4% to its highest level since 2006. Obama also claimed a victory in the automotive industry. General Motors, Chrysler and Ford have all turned their fortunes around, creating 200,000 jobs in the process. General Motors recently reclaimed its place as the top-selling car maker in the world. But in this presidential election year, Obama has promised still more.
It is time to stop rewarding businesses that ship jobs overseas and start rewarding companies that create jobs right here in America. Send me these tax reforms and I will sign them right away.
The US economy does seem to be on the mend, but is it too little too late for Barack Obama? No president in the modern era has won re-election with an unemployment rate over 7.2%.
You know, Owen only spoke for 30 seconds. How many times have you mentioned job?
4 times, apparently. I'm glad he's listening, at least.
Yeah, we've got some historic numbers, haven't we? Suggesting Obama has a lot of ground to make up and plenty more to rake over here, particularly energy.
Well, you heard him saying there, Stuart, the US president, he doesn't want to see US jobs being shipped overseas. And his concern on energy is, in fact, that overseas competitors are stealing a march in him, particularly when it comes to green energy. Remember, coming into this State of the Union speech, Barack Obama had torpedoed, basically, a project, a transnational oil pipeline known as Keystone, supposed to pipe oil from Canada through down to the US. He wants to ditch that in favour of cleaner alternatives. He thinks that countries like Germany have got the lead on things like solar energy, alternative energy. He wants to put money into that. And yet again, coming into this speech, perhaps the facts don't really favour him. That's largely because a key US solar energy firm that had been backed to the tune of $500 million by US taxpayers went bankrupt. You've also got other problems as well with natural gas, huge topic in the United States. This really is the new frontier of alternative energy, natural gas. And yet even at the highest levels of government now, they are admitting that this does have environmental consequences. There are allegations backed by some government research that this can contribute to earthquakes, and yet there are massive projects drilling for natural gas known as fracking all across the United States. That's the kind of thing that's going to worry investors. Is this really a long-term investment project? Despite the fact that Obama is certainly backing this in his speech, he thinks that natural gas will create around 500 million jobs in the next few years. Well, all of this, of course, annoyed the Republicans, particularly seeing that oil pipeline there torpedoed. And it was left to the Republicans, Mitch Daniels, to give his response to Obama's energy policies.
The extremism that stifles the development of homegrown energy or cancels a perfectly safe pipeline that would employ tens of thousands or jacks up consumer utility bills for no improvement in either human health or world temperature is a pro-poverty policy.
So markets started to react to all this?
Yeah, not huge reaction, Stuart, largely because a lot of the Asian markets are actually closed still for that Chinese New Year holiday, particularly in Hong Kong and the Chinese mainland. Nevertheless, the Nikkei did tick up a little bit. It closed just over 1% in the green. Worth noting, a big milestone in the history of the Japanese economy. The government has recorded its first annual trade deficit since 1980. That's, remember, exporters being hammered by the value of the Japanese yen. We've seen this coming for some time now. We've seen month-on-month statistics suggesting that the trade surplus is in reverse, and so there we have it, the first annual deficit since 1980. I'll just mention while we're talking markets, just briefly, some results in for you. Swiss drug maker Novartis saying its fourth quarter net profit has fallen 47% to $1.2 billion.
Let's give you some company results then, as we catch up with some of the other day's headlines. And Apple shares have surged more than 8% after its latest results. Again, confounded expectations. Sales of iPhones and iPads doubled over the US holiday season to take fourth quarter revenue past $46 billion, a 70% increase on a year earlier. Figures show the firm now sitting on a cash reserve of $100 billion, though it has given shareholders no clues as to how it plans to invest that money.
Yahoo's new chief executive, Scott Thompson, has promised to turn the search engine around after its latest results continued to disappoint investors. Fourth quarter net income dropped more than 5% to $240 million. Yahoo's fortunes have been eaten away by the likes of Google and Facebook, and beset by takeover speculation, as well as the high-level departure of founder Jerry Yang.
And Italy's largest bank, UniCredit, planning to issue 25 billion euros worth of covered bonds. That's according to the Financial Times. The sale comes at the request of regulators to shore up liquidity requirements. As UniCredit reduces its exposure to sovereign debts, it's understood proceeds from the sale may also be used as collateral for further ECB loans. Italian banks currently top the list of those tapping the bank's new 3-year emergency financing. Briefly going to mention the Eurozone, that deadlock over Greece starting to worry the markets. Even the ECB done a fair bit of rescuing, getting a roasting for not doing enough.
Yeah, the IMF giving a very bleak report and assessment about the European economy over the next 12 months, saying that Eurozone countries will go into recession. Well, we knew that was coming. One thing, though, according to sources at the ECB, that the IMF is unhappy about is the pile of Greek bonds that the European Central Bank is sitting on. You might remember back when the whole Greek crisis took off, the ECB bought around 40 billion euros worth of Greek bonds at below face value. And yet, as things stands to make a 7% interest on those bonds. Now, at the same time, the likes of the European Central Bank are actually saying to private bondholders in Greece, well, you need to take a 3.5% interest rate on those bonds. So a little bit of a discrepancy there, one that's likely to rumble on a little bit, I suspect.
And just before we go, I'm going to have to wait a month to find out who does clean up at the Oscars. But financially, one backer is already doing pretty well.
Yeah, this is Harvey Weinstein, used to run the company Miramax with his brother. Now the pair are out on their own. Between them, they've racked up 16 nominations in all for the Oscars for some of the films they're backing. One of them, the one that's getting the real Oscar buzz right now, is The Artist, a French movie about the demise of silent movies, getting huge interest in the States. This one has around 10 nominations. It's taken in around $30 million, so it's more than doubled its production cost. But also, the Weinstein brothers are behind the biopic of Margaret Thatcher, the lady. He's seen as a very shrewd operator. He tends to release his movies just in time for the Oscars to get that buzz going, get people coming into the box office. He did pretty well, or they did pretty well last year, because these brothers were the backers of The King's Speech, which, as you remember, stormed the Oscars really last year.
Yeah. Exactly. Enjoy the Oscars. Enjoy The Artist, rather. I haven't seen The Lady yet, but we'll do one day, I'm sure. Owen, thanks very much. More news with Claire really shortly.
1 year ago, Tahrir Square erupted. After 30 years of dictatorship, Egyptians gathered in the streets and made themselves heard. In a matter of days, the protests led to President Hosni Mubarak stepping down. On the first anniversary of the start of the Nile Revolution, relive this historic moment with France 24. We'll be speaking with Egyptians who were demonstrating on that day. We'll bring you exclusive reports looking back and expert analysis to explain how, 1 year on, the Islamists have won power in Egypt.